Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. NS Mura 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. I can't quite believe I'm saying that, to be honest. I've got three very special guests with me to talk about tonight's game. I've got Melvin, Adrian and Gareth. First of all, let's introduce our guest, Melvin, all the way from Malta. Melvin, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. How are you, Chris? Well,
very disappointed,
but yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it coming, but looking at the lineup at the end of the match, with the back line, playing a new formation, never really played together. It's strange, and at the same time, we didn't see it coming. It's disappointing, but we move on.
We've also got Gareth with us, all the way from Northern Ireland. Gareth, how are you?
Well, been better, Chris. But as Melvin said, nobody's seen that coming. I mean, everyone expected it to be a routine one. But I was just saying to my dad during the game, it was a time in Zagreb last year too. They had massive scenes at the end, and it was Mura tonight. We always seem to be giving teams their famous European nights. And that's really sad, because we never wanted to be in this competition, but there's a good chance now. There's a good chance we don't go through, and that's going to be in our headline.
We've also got Adrian with us. Adrian, normally share a pint with you in the pub before the Tottenham Hotspur home games. Absolutely delighted to have you on a Spurs chat, but not delighted with the result tonight. How are you doing?
Well, it's a pleasure to be on. I actually picked the starting lineup exactly, so disappointed with the result, but reading between the lines, the positives are, the ironic positives are that Conte now knows who he can't trust. Doherty, no thank you. Dele, no thank you. Did we see anything other than Dembele in midfield during that first half? I mean, I've been saying it for weeks. Most games are won and lost in midfield. If you don't win the midfield battle, and against sub opposition, let's be fair, no disrespect to them, they won the game, so good luck to them on that. You got to be sporting at the end of the day. We led it to our own downfall by just poorly performing and starting wrongly. Dele showed a bit of effort on the side, but too many stray loose passes. Again, people dwelling on the ball too long. We're at our best when it's fast, forward, slick movements. People running off the ball. Give Kane his due. He tried hard up there on his own. The substitutions made an impact. There was more urgency. And once we got the equaliser, we did look as though we're the only team that were going to go on and win it. But, pushing up, we got caught on the sucker punch. That happens. But we're still in the same position we were before the game, that we're going to have to beat Rennes in the final game in the group. So, although I feel disappointed for all those like you, Chris, that travel every game, because there's nothing worse. I've done it years ago. You come away from away games with a loss, especially if you're travelling a long way, and it is a sick one, you know what I mean? So, my sympathies.
Well, we haven't seen an away win in the Europa Conference League this season so far. It's unbelievable. But Melvin, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. Javert Tanganga and Harry Kane were the only two that kept their places in the last Premier League game against Leeds. 9 opportunities here, 9 opportunities for players to shine. Golini in goal, Doherty, Rodon, Tanganga, Sanchez, Sessègnon, Oliver Skip, Tanguy Ndombele, Dele Alli, Harry Kane and Brian Hill. As I say, 9 changes. What did you make of that starting 11 when that came out an hour before kickoff?
When you see it on paper, you think, oh, it will work. It's a strong lineup. But the reality is these players never played together in that formation. If you look at Matt Doherty, for example, a player who's Premier League proven and probably one of the worst signings we've ever made. He's had no impact. He's had no goals and no assists in the year and a half he's been with us. You look at Sessègnon, who made the same mistake, Javert Tanganga made against Crystal Palace. Yes, he's young, he's eager, but that mistake probably cost us the game. Not that we were playing well either way, because it seems that we need to concede a goal for us to react. Why does that happen time and time again? We have to concede a goal for us to react and try to score. It's Joe Rodon plays well for the international team, and then it just seems he plays well when he plays for us, and he's a good defender. It's difficult to judge him when he's thrown into these matches playing next to Davison Sanchez, for example, next to Jeffet Tanganga, in a system that they've never really played together. And, defensive partnerships are built over months and months and months. And it's like when Jose used to just change the formation, change the system, change the defensive partnership, and it just doesn't work. In the Premier League, we saw some consistency with the back line, and we kind of saw it working a little bit. But these things takes lots and lots of time and lots of practice. And to change the team so much, even though we needed to rotate for the Premier League, because the Premier League is the most important thing. But I just wish I expected more from players like Joe Rodon and Dele Alli, especially Dele Alli. I think most players were poor. I think the best players were the ones that came on the pitch in the second half. Eric Dyer looked incredible. I've always been a fan of Eric Dyer, and I think we have to remember that this is his second full season as a centre back. So, he's had a positional change, and I think he's growing into that role, and I think he's played well, and we got more control of the game in the second half. So, and I think that's due to Eric Dyer. It's disappointing, but I guess it's hard to take. And also, why is it every time I'm on we lose?
It's all the time, Melvin. It is unbelievable.
For the worst moments, and this is another one.
Well, Melvin, every time I've been on, we've lost.
I think the last time I was on was West Ham too. Repeat that night too.
Gareth, let's come to you. What did you make of the starting 11? Because when I saw this starting 11, it's kind of what I expected. And I thought, 9 opportunities there, 9 players to show Antonio Conte and say, look, here I am. This is what I can do. I want to play regular first-team football in the Premier League. I'm going to go out there and show exactly what I can do. Now, Ryan Sessègnon, for example, Antonio Conte said that he was really looking forward to seeing Ryan Sessègnon play. Ryan Sessègnon also told the club website, it's now or never. He's been at the club for 3 years, hasn't quite worked out, injuries, various problems. What did you make of this starting 11 when it came out?
Chris, you can analyse the team sheet till the cows come home, because he can't play the same 11 players in every game, so he's got to make changes. This is the lowest ranked team in the European Conference League, regardless of formations, regardless of the starting 11. We have enough quality on that team sheet.
Yeah, but you just said it, Gareth. It's Mura are the lowest ranked in the competition. They've lost going into this game. They'd lost all 4 in the group. Hadn't picked up a point. They haven't won for 2 months in all competitions.
They haven't won 6 games.
They're sitting mid-table in the Slovenian league.
So it really shouldn't matter, Chris, what team we play. So that's why I wouldn't be analysing the team, because obviously you can't play the same 11 players every game, so he's got to make some changes. If there's ever a game they make changes, it's this game, because he's probably thinking that if you look at our Premier League running over December, there's a lot of favourable fixtures on there on paper. Most of the teams are below us in the league, bar Liverpool. So this is a chance they make changes. Go on to Burnley, get a 1 at Burnley. All of a sudden we've got Brentford and Norwich at home, 2 winnable games, and all of a sudden you're well in the top 4 mix. But tonight's result throws a big spanner in the works, and you seen that the body language of the players again. Only Conte was on the touchline, shouting, and you could obviously see him. You wouldn't have knew it was an Antonio Conte team. It's the same body language the players had against Vitesse, the same body language you've seen last season under Mourinho. There's a massive problem in that dressing room, Chris, and we've talked about it before. That's why the last time I was on here, just before the Man United game, I was reluctant to blame Nuno for a lot of the issues. Yes, we obviously didn't have game plans in there, and he had to take a lot of the blame towards the end. But Conte's got this is the biggest job he'll ever have as a club. They try and turn us around, because for how many players and star players we're supposed to have, Dele Alli was disgraceful. The amount of times he gave the ball away, and Dembele, he couldn't even jog off the pitch. He's that unfit. He lumped off. I'm finished with him. Finished with Dele Alli. Sanchez, I think I was listening to BT Sport after the game. Glenn Hoddle said, if that was your 16-year-old defending like that, and he was actually being very fair, saying 16. If that was one of my 9-year-old kids that I coach, defend it like that. And he done it 3 or 4 times in the game where he let the boy inside. And is that a lack of quality, or is that a lack of confidence, or is that a lack of care? It looks to me like a lot of players don't care, Chris. So it doesn't really matter who the manager is. You're going to get the same results all the time.
But this is my point. How can you not care when a brand new manager, Antonio Conte, a serial winner, has just come in? He's just spent a couple of weeks with a lot of these players at Hotspur Way. He's come out and said that he wants to see them in competitive competition. When this team sheet come out, I was actually quite pleased, thinking a lot of these guys are now going to get opportunities. The likes of Tongion Dele didn't go on international duty, stayed at Hotspur Way, worked with Antonio Conte. He looked absolutely shattered to me in that second half. Didn't want to run at all. You look at players like Matt Doherty and you just think these players are nowhere near good enough for our club.
You see this is Chris. You can have a lack of quality, but then as you say, it's the lack of effort that we're seeing. That's what's infuriating the fans. That team didn't have a lot of quality, but they worked their socks off. I mean, there was even a passage in the first half where they knocked the ball 1-2 touch, and the boy bent one just around the post. It was at 1-0, could have made it 2-0, and that was the best passage of play in the game. We were incapable of doing that, and it's not to say that our players can't do it. It's just there's a lack of care, a lack of effort, and as you say about motivation, a new managers come in. But how many new managers, Chris, have these players seen? And they've been all unable to motivate them. And that is the big worry, that if Antonio Conte if he doesn't get the backing from Levy and the board, he's going to have the same problems that the previous managers had. And these managers have shown before they're capable of getting, or these players have shown they're capable of getting managers sacked. And, it is really worrying, because I think that Conte, he is the right man, but he needs players on ASAP, and he needs to get the rotten apples out, because there's far too many of them there. And the motivation, Chris, there's that much money in football at the minute. Them players, as you say, it's disgraceful that they're doing it, but there's been no real bounce effect, bar the first 15 minutes against Vitesse, where we blew them away. We're very fortunate because, we got a man sent off at 3-2. Only Vitesse went and got 2 sent off. We could have lost that game too. Everton, we never got a shot on target. We were very, very poor against Leeds reserves on Sunday. 45 minutes where we were awful. Conte's team talk changed it, and it's the same tonight. So, it doesn't look good going forward, Chris. And as I said, I'll not blame any more managers, because I was very harsh with Melvin about Mourinho, but it's starting to look like it doesn't matter who the manager is, the same problems are going to be there.
Well, I certainly don't blame the manager tonight. Adrian, let's come to you. Simon writes on screen, first Nuno Espirito Santo, now Antonio Conte picks the same second string who prove they're simply not good enough. Major squad changes needed. Now Enoch, no excuses. Adrian, you said that you picked that starting 11. Surely you would have expected a lot of these players to give a lot more than they did tonight.
Of course. And why is it always the first half that we start so sluggish? And if I had one criticism, I wasn't sure how that back three were going to line up. Just one on Conte which shows why we need a left-sided centre back like Sven Botman or Bastoni or someone like that, because we've only got Davis at the moment. And I just thought that Sanchez was caught wrong-footed going at players when he slipped and all that. Do you remember? I remember saying the same thing, maybe out of desperation, when we lost our first home game at the stadium to West Ham. And Alderweireld was playing at left centre half, and Antonio turned him and done him for the goal. I don't know if you remember that. I remember talking to people afterwards and saying, I just wonder if we'd had a left centre back there that we might have been able to stop that. We didn't have one we could put on the field today unless Davis played. So perhaps that's just me clutching at straws here, but I just think you move with a different foot if you're right-footed on that side. Skip was okayish first half. Tanganga, I'm still uncertain about Rodin. I thought he could have moved across a bit for the goal, personally. But then perhaps I'm looking for excuses there, Chris. But then Sanchez actually slipped for both goals, didn't he?
Well, Adrian,
let's 4 or 5 times in the game, actually.
Adrian, let's talk about that first goal. Of course, after, 11 minutes, Horvat with a fantastic finish with his left foot from outside the box. Surely, as a defender, Davinson Sanchez, £42 million we paid for him a couple of years ago, Colombian international. Surely, you're taught as a kid. I remember, being taught football as a kid in the playground. You were taught if a player's coming at you, you would try and get them down that wing. You would not edge them towards goal.
You take them out wide, don't you?
That's exactly what he did.
Wide. Yeah, exactly.
Send them out wide. And no covering at all as well for Davinson Sanchez when the guys cut in. It was just poor defending all round, wasn't it?
Roden sort of looked at it, didn't he?
But he didn't even attempt it. He just let him on side.
He
He didn't even try to make a tackle. And this is the thing,
when the ball went in, he looked exasperated. And I thought, but surely even when the ball's kicked, you just throw yourself across that way to the right a little bit further, like. But look, it's too early in Roden. We haven't seen enough of him, So, but if I was to compare Roden with Tanganga,
is there a reason why we haven't seen a lot of him?
Yeah, I think. Well, my biggest problem with Sanchez is not that he hasn't got everything to be a top-class defender. It's just when you talk about concentration and positional play. Everybody said he played well against Leeds when he come on. All right, he got in some good headers and he was aggressive and all that. But it was once I see him or twice where he was virtually parallel with a player when I thought he should have been goal side. All right, he knows he's got the pace to get himself out of trouble. But I think you could get a tune out of Sanchez still. But if not, well, then they go. These players walking off that pitch today, I tell you, he had to pick them, Gareth, because if you're going to pick half of the team with experience that played against Leeds, all you're going to do is destroy the confidence of those on the bench that haven't got a game. So he's had to give them a game. Now he's given them a game. He can do what he likes with them. And like you lot said, Doherty can go, Dele can go now as far as, and Don Belly. You didn't see him in the first half, did you? And we never got to grips with the midfield at all, did we? And where's that midfield general?
Do you know what, Adrian? Comment on screen now from Mr. V. Deck chair Sanchez collapses again. How many times have we seen Davinson Sanchez slip on the floor?
Yeah.
Too many times.
Yeah.
Melvin, let's come to you. I want to talk about Ryan Sessègnon because, of course, this was his big opportunity tonight. Antonio Conte actually come out publicly in the press conference, named him and said, really looking forward to seeing Ryan Sessègnon play. Of course, him himself come out and said, it's now or never. He's been at the club for 3 years. It's about time that he, started his Tottenham Hotspur career because we have seen very few chances from him in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. What did you make of Ryan Sessègnon tonight?
Well, we only saw him for about 30 minutes, so we can't really judge him. It's like you couldn't see much of him. I looked at his Fulham videos and tried to find videos of him when he played for Hoffenheim because I can't remember what sort of player he is. Other the goal he scored against Bayern Munich, I don't remember anything about him. I don't remember what style of. I know he's a fast winger, but I don't remember much about him. So I had to look at his Fulham days because he hasn't really done anything for us. He hasn't had a consistent start in the Premier League. He hasn't contributed anything in the Premier League. He's only been, as a player who's been rotated in and out of the squad. And I think when they say now or never, I think it really puts unneeded pressure on the player because why would they say that about him now? It's early in the season. He's coming back from injury. He still needs, remember when Gareth Bale, as much as he showed promise, it took him a long time, to get it right. And finally it burst into the Spurs squad. So it's going to take time for Sessègnon as well. I'm not trying to put him in the same category as Gareth Bale because he probably will never reach those heights. But a player needs time to develop, and he's shown promise, and he's still a young player, and he has room for growth. And I think Conte said the same thing. He still has a long way to go to become, like Kyle Walker used to play, or Danny Rose, that type of left back, right back, an explosive winger. He's still a long way to go, but he has potential.
What did you think of the two challenges tonight, Melvin, giving him the 2 yellow cards?
I don't know. I think they're a bit. Maybe it was a bit harsh, but in the speed of the game, they were.
Oh, they were two Stonewall yellow yards. Come on, they were poor tackles. The first one, he's been totally outdone.
I'm glad you said that, Gareth. Yeah,
his first one, he's been totally outdone for piss, and he's supposed to be a dynamic winner. The right back just flew past him, and he just stuck out his leg.
against the lowest ranked team in the competition.
And then the second one is just madness. You can talk about a player being keen to impress, but he's going nowhere, and he's just stuck at some way studs, nowhere near the ball. And then the most baffling thing was that I tried to explain to the referee that he was only going for the ball, but he didn't get the ball. It's a yellow card and you're off. And as you say, that Melvin, probably the reason we lost the game. But look, to be fair to him, he's not really had much game time, so I'm not going to be too critical on Sessègnon. I'm more interested in Alexa Dele Alli and Dembele, who've failed again. But Sessègnon, he's got to get a move on, because we can't be the difference with Bale is over the years we've seen flashes from Bale right from the very start of his Spurs career that he was capable of doing things. We haven't seen anything of Sessègnon. And Melvin, if you want to talk about videos, you can watch a few videos of Dele Alli a few years ago as well, and you'd think he's a player. But no, Sessègnon, judging what you've seen in Spurs, he's not going to.
I think the difference between Sessègnon and Dele has had many games to prove himself again. He started so many games in the Europa League last season and so many games in the Conference League this season. He's had chances to revitalize his career, to bring it back, and he's had many chances, and it's not working, and you just have to give up on the player and either sell him or move him on. It's not like we bought him for 50 million like we did with Ndombele. We paid 5 million for him. Yes, he's homegrown, and I feel if he wasn't homegrown, we would have shipped him off, much sooner. The squad depth and the squad quality, we have 11 players that play in the Premier League, and then the quality just drops off a cliff. It just really does. And when we play these Conference League matches, we're playing with a squad that's so poor in quality. Where were the goals going to come from? And if you look at all the players that we have, take Kane out of the equation because he's not been playing well. Who scored in the Premier League this season from those players? I think none of them did. Dele Alli scored the penalty against Wolves, and that's it. Yeah. You look at these players, where are the goals going to come from? I'm happy to see Højbjerg chipping in with one goal, in the weekend, but we need him to score about 10 goals in the Premier League this season. We need Lucas to chip in with another 10. We can't keep relying on Son and Kane for the goals. And we play that squad, and you look at it, and they have no goals in them. None of them. Brian Hill is still a young player, and he's very raw. And there's some talent in there. But, we lost players like Moussa Sissoko and who used to play in these games, and Eric Lamela, and Vertonghen, and Toby. We lost these players who were proven players. They knew how to play these games. They were experienced. Yes, they maybe weren't, our future, and we needed to move them on. But we lost all these players that last season or the season before would have played. Experienced players knew how to play these games, and we're playing with these kids. Some of them are kids, like Brian Gill and Sessègnon. They're not proven, and Tanganga as well.
But Melvin, that was my point. Why are these players not taking the opportunity? Because some of these players don't get opportunities very often in a Spurs shirt. You've got a new manager, a serial winner, Antonio Conte, just come in at the club. Why are you not impressing him when you've been given this opportunity against the lowest ranked team in the competition?
The quality isn't there, is it? And these players are thrown in the deep end.
Melvin, do you think it's a quality issue, or do you not think it's
week in, week out?
I hardly think it's thrown in.
Never played in a formation together.
He didn't break a sweat. This is the Chris. It's not a quality issue. We all know what Dele's capable of. We know what Ndombele is. There's no hunger. There's no desire. They don't want to play for Spurs anymore.
Gareth, let's discuss Roy Price's comment. Roy, thanks very much for your comment. 2 minutes in, ball was hit down the line, and Dele Alli should have busted a gut to reach it. He didn't try, which told me everything. Now, Gareth, how many chances is Dele Alli going to get?
Chris, I see the last few games. He doesn't even sprint. See, this is the thing. Like he doesn't even sprint. He just hangs his head, and then these silly things dangle from his top of his head. And you look at him; he's not even a footballer. And I was a massive fan of Dele, loved him, but he's destroyed his career. And it's not a case of moving on from Spurs. I can't see him ever recapturing his form because he hasn't got the desire or hunger. Chris, if he wanted to prove himself, he would have went out there the night, then he would have put a performance on. And you know what? Even if we skip I don't think Skip had his best game tonight, but Skip tried. Harry Kane didn't have his best game, but he tried. There was no effort from Dele, no effort from Ndombele, and that's the wee things that we're looking at. You can be short of confidence, but you can go out and put a performance on. And Dele didn't sprint once, Ndombele didn't sprint once, and Roy's spot on from the very first minute. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to be out there. He didn't want to be out in the pitch, Chris. We're talking about players getting chances. Dele didn't want to be on that pitch tonight. He thinks he's probably too good to play in the Conference League, but Melvin's saying it's a quality issue. I think it's more of a lack of hunger and a lack of desire. And he really should. He's had so many chances under different managers that I wouldn't even have him in the squad. I would completely I'd cut his contract up because, as Melvin said, it's only $5 million. So just let him go, because he's one. It's these type of players that's bringing the dressing room down.
Adrian, let's come to you. What do you think's happened to Dele Alli? Because when I think of Dele Alli in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt, I think of him scoring headers against Chelsea, the brace that he scored against Stamford Bridge when we hadn't beaten them for about 28 years. I think of all these fantastic moments. What on earth has happened to Dele Alli?
Well, I don't know if my theory's right. I mean, I've got a theory about Dele Alli and Harry Winks. When Poch, God bless him, when he was in charge of the team, you notice that when Winks got all these rave reviews against Barcelona and Real Madrid in the games he played well in, it was when the rest of the team played well. When Rose and Walker were pushing on, when everyone pressed high press, which gave him space, to be able to do what he wanted to do with the ball. And it wasn't so much pressure when he was on the ball. I think Dele's another one like that. I think he's another player who flatters to deceive unless he's in a good team, a winning team. Dele Alli's not going to grab a game by the scruff of the necks. Winks is another one that, and I mean, Conte seems to like him, so he might get a better tune out of him. Doesn't seem to be the type that's going to take a game by the scruff of the neck and march it on. Højbjerg type would. I think Skip, he's got fantastic potential to kick on. I mean, I hope he does, But there was no one in there to shelter the younger players. I'm never harshly critical of a player. I've got a little rule, under 24, right? But Dele's older, Dembele's older, right? These players are what the young players should be looking to, to guide them through a game in a sense, but we lacked leadership and we lacked grit in the centre of midfield, apart from Skip, who tried. But Ndombele was nowhere to be seen in the first half. I mean, I'm done with him. And I'm a Dele fan, like some of you were in the past when he got all them goals in the 16-17 season, but he's not going to help us go forward as we are now. Look, the positive is Conte is not going to stand for this, Chris. Don't you worry out there, you Spurs fans. Conte will not stand for this. He will go, even if he has to say to Levy, I want transfers in January. Those guys out there had a chance to prove themselves, to stake a claim to be squad members. They weren't first picks, and it seems like Conte's got it right, with his first 11 or 11 he's got going and sort of got a balance to the team. The defence is looking good. We know we've got enough attacking options. But again, we've got a soft underbelly, haven't we? Where's the steel in the mid? Well, not so much the steel. You can have lightweight, fancy game players, right? In midfield, they've got all the skill in the world, But this is the Premier League, we're in. And we're not even the Premier League today, but just using the Premier League as an example, and you've got to be dynamic. That's the minimum requirement, right? You've got to have energy. But we need a dynamic midfielder that's a bowler, a ball carrying midfielder or a playmaker in there that, can be consistent over 38 games or at least 20 of those games. So really you need two of them. And Ndombele can't do it. When did he do it? Against weak opposition. I mean, even when we played Leeds, be fair, like it's been mentioned, they had three of the best players missing.
But this is my point, Adrian. This tonight was weak opposition. So if players like Tongi Ndombele, Dele Alli and co are not going to do it against opposition like this, how on earth are they expecting to get Premier League minutes?
See, I don't know what happened in going back to 67 Cup final against Chelsea. Dave Mackay was supposed to be standing in the nude in a dressing room singing Scottish war songs before we went out to play the game, right? Wimbledon in the 87s and all that. They would be in there blasting out like, I don't know, heavy metal music or stuff like that. They were really getting themselves up in the mood for a game, I mean, what are they doing? Like, listen to ballet music in a dressing room before they go out or something? Because, like, where is the... I mean, who goes like, come on, let's have it, you know, when you're out there and all that? I mean, if I was walking along shaking hands with the opposition, I'd be giving them the eye like 2 boxes and a weigh-in, you know? You know what I mean? Going along there, shake your hands after the game, before, you know. When
Adrian, Conte works harder on the touchline than some of the players do in the pitch. He's running up and down that touchline, sweating, and he doesn't get that from some of the players.
Do you know, Gareth?
He will have to clear it. And I mentioned it on posts in my group, you know, I said, look, there will be at least 3 new players in January, and they will not be brought in to sit on the bench. And others will be going out. You can bet your life a centre-back's coming in and a midfielder will be coming. I know we need the backup striker, whether it's Vlahovic, Martinez, whether it's others that have been mentioned, you know, we'll see. But we really need to stiffen that midfield up, you know. We need, you know, someone like Brozovic, even Kessie, or I would prefer Kessie to McKennie, but I mean, like, and Brozovic to either of those. But, like, we need to get someone in it like that, you know.
Melvin, let's come to you. You jokingly said that we always lose when you're on this Spurs chat and on this channel, which is true, by the way. But it just seems like we talk about the same stuff, like year in, year out, after these European games. What is it? Why do we do this?
I think Jose once summed it up perfectly. He said, same players, different manager? No, same manager, different players, or something like that, he said once in an interview. And it's true, it's the same players. Most of these players let down, you know, Pochettino, they let down Jose, they let down Nuno. And it's now, yeah.
Breaking news in the morning.
There's some interesting comments coming out of Conte's press conference. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but he just said that he's starting to understand the situation, that it's not simple. And at the moment, the level of Tottenham is not so high. So, you know, he won't protect the players. He's very similar to Mourinho. He won't come out and, you know, there'll be no hiding place. I just hope that the majority of the players back him, because you've seen how it went with Mourinho towards the end. Basically, all the players stopped playing for him, even the ones that were playing for him.
It won't matter if they back him or not, Gareth. Those
players, do you know, Gareth?
In that, they'll be sorted. They'll be sorted. The players are going to be sorted out. There'll be loads going.
I hope so.
It's interesting because during that second half, I looked at Antonio Conte and I just felt that he was thinking, I knew this was a difficult job, but I didn't realise how difficult it actually is. But Gareth, do you think that, I don't know, I'm going forward here and going away from the game, but do you think that he's going to get a number of players in the January transfer window to strengthen this squad going forward?
Well, Chris, you see if he doesn't, he'll walk, because he's walked at our clubs before. If he doesn't get what he's promised and demands, he will just resign. He will not care about not getting his. You know, that's the way he is. And that's what I like about him. You know, he won't stay in waiting for a package to be sacked. He will go, and he'll call the owners out. He'll call everyone out. So he's that type of character. And Daniel Levy and Paratici and Joe Lewis know what they're in for with Conte. But as you say, Chris, towards even the final whistle, he looked deflated. And I've never seen Conte like that. I don't think he could believe what he's seen on the pitch. So, you know, I can only imagine there'll be a lot of harsh words said in that changing room. But for a lot of them, Chris, as we said, it won't mean much, because I can see some of them responding. But the most important thing is the majority of them, hopefully they buy into it. And as Adrian said, I do have a feeling it's going to be a big January window, and there will be at least 2 or 3 coming in. But, you know, I actually looked at it before the night, Chris, and I thought, you know, if we can get a result tonight, qualify from this group, you know, we've got a favourable run of games coming up in the Premier League, you know, to take us into a new year, and then we get players in, we wouldn't be in such a bad situation. But, you know, 1 or 2 injuries now, Chris, and we have to rely on some of these players coming back in. And, you know,
that's right.
It doesn't matter who the manager is, Chris, as I've said. I don't think they're going to try for Spurs, or, you know, so that is the big worry. I'm thinking he has to find a way to keep them on side until he can ship them out as well.
Adrian, of course, we went in 1-0 down, hadn't had a shot on target again in a 45-minute period in a half of football. Very disappointing again, especially when you've got Harry Kane in the team. Antonio Conte turned it around at half-time in the Leeds game at the weekend. I just want your thoughts on what you thought that he said to the players at half-time against Leeds. And was it a very similar half-time team talk tonight against Mura?
Well, they didn't. There was more urgency in the second half tonight. and it was a better half for us, although poor overall game. But against Leeds, we're led to believe that he said, go out there man for man against them to get back in this game. That didn't happen in the second after against Mura. There was a lot more effort. So, I mean, I haven't got a clue what he said in at half time. I don't know if he shouts and screams or what. I like the fact that he is a motivator, though, and that he won't throw players under the bus. He'll be a silent assassin and just slit their throat while they ain't looking, but you do it that way. But which is right, because that's good management anyway. You don't throw players under the bus publicly and all that. If you ain't good enough, you just get rid of them. Sorry, mate, you're not what we're looking for. Find yourself another club. I think after the day, could well turn around to Doherty, and others, and say, not the young players, the 21-year-olds, but obviously, and just say to them, like, tell your agent, to find yourself a new club. Tell them now, because in January I'm bringing players in and you're not part of my plans. And Dele, as far as I'm going, I was always a big fan. He can go. Ndombele can go. Doherty can go. We'll see. The jury's out on others. I know Winks isn't everybody's favourite, and neither is Dyer, Sanchez or Davis. But Dyer and Davis haven't done much wrong this season. Even Sanchez hasn't, to be honest. I know he didn't have the best game today, did he, with the slips and that. But he'd probably be another one to go if it's a foreign contingent. I'm just frightened. All this talk about change of goalkeepers and all the goalkeepers mentioned, none of them are as good as Lloris, you know what I mean? But we'd be off tack here with that. And I want Lloris to get another 2-year contract because he could play till he's 38, as far as I'm concerned. But, so, and back to the young players as well. I mean, like Gareth said or Mervyn said earlier, when Son came to the club, he was leaving because it wasn't working for him. When Bale first started out, it took him over a season. We couldn't win a game with him in the side, if you remember. When Kane came into the team, he had Adebayor, and Berbatov and Keane, I think, and things like that. Kane came and he couldn't get a goal. Van der Vaart said he was shit and things like that. Look what we got players we got. Even Sissoko, when we first bought him, it took him a season to gel. So I'm not going to criticise Gil or Sessègnon in any way. Silly boy today, Sessègnon. But, he'll come good. I'm confident, actually, Sessègnon will come good. I really like him. I watched him a lot at Fulham. And, yeah. But we'll see.
I agree with you on Sessègnon. I think he'll be very, very disappointed in himself. You saw how disappointed he was walking down the tunnel, having been sent off because he wanted to grab this opportunity and of course, got 2 yellow cards, but awful challenges. Melvin, let's come to you. Do you think that some of these players have probably played their last game in the Tottenham Hotspur shirt? Because when are some of these players, let's choose, for example, Matt Doherty. When is he going to get another start in a Spurs shirt? Because is Antonio Conte going to play him at home against West Ham in the Carabao Cup? Is he going to play him in the Rennes game that's now important to go through to the next stage? Is he going to get game time in the Premier League? When is he going to play? If players like this don't take their opportunities in games like this, when are they going to get another opportunity?
I don't know. It's just bad recruitment. At the time when we bought him, even myself, I thought, Premier League proven. When we played against him, always made it tough for us, and I think scored against us as well. But I don't know. Just he's not really played well for us, and just been a really, really terrible signing. I don't know. And we're playing in the same formation that he played at Wolves. He wasn't really a right back, and now he doesn't have the excuse because now he's playing as a right wing back. So he's playing in his preferred position. So, on paper, he should be playing a lot better than he did last season. Yeah, probably hasn't had the same amount of game time, but games like this, he's an international player. And he should be playing a lot better than he did today. He should be going out there and trying to grab an assist, trying to score. And obviously the red card completely changed the game. Going 1-0 down early puts a lot of pressure on the team, but still no excuses. These guys, we should have been able to beat them with 10 men. It's just, you have to cut your losses with these players and I think either move them on or just keep them on the bench and I don't know, let them leave, just terminate their contract when it's over, because Matt Doherty is close to 30, so he's not going to improve. He's going to remain the same player he is now. So
To be honest, Melvin, I don't care how old he is. He's not good enough for us.
He's not. But
21 or 31.
He's not. But we have similar players to him who are not just good enough. They're not good enough. But then you look at Ben Davies, who doesn't have the quality, but he has the effort, and he's always sort of consistent. And he does the job. He does the job for you when he comes in. And you look at players like Ben Davies, and you start to think, why can't you perform the same level he can? If Ben Davies is in and out of the team, but when he plays, he gives you that 100%, and he plays. He doesn't, he's not Gareth Bale. He's not Reguilon, but he's a good, solid player. Why can't these players, when they come in, they have a solid performance? You don't have to be, getting goals and assists all the time, but you have to be solid and compact and play, a full 90 minutes and leave everything on the pitch like we did against Everton. Probably these guys won't play in the Premier League, and they won't have another game for another 2 weeks, because he won't play again for a while now. Doherty,
well, I was going to ask
next match?
Out of today's starting 11, you would expect Harry Kane to obviously play against Burnley on Sunday, but the starting 11 today, how many of those starting 11 would you like to see in the starting 11 this Sunday against Burnley?
Well, Romero's still injured, so probably the same 11 we played against Leeds. I wouldn't change any of it. I think Skip might come in for Winks. That's the only difference.
I don't know.
Gareth, what did
What
you
do you
make
think,
of Gareth? What did you make of Tottenham's first half performance without a shot on target again?
Well, it's just the same every week, and because I was just saying, like, at the watching it with my dad, I was saying, like, it's the same passive performance that we see week in, week out. You watch Liverpool, as soon as the game kicks off, they are chasing every ball, and obviously we're not as good as Liverpool, but Liverpool, player for player, probably aren't as strong as Man City or Chelsea, but they work so hard. And this is the thing, we don't get any hard work with Spurs. Against Leeds, it was poor, and it was against Leeds' reserves. You're missing 5 or 6 strong players. Against Everton, no shot on target. It was passive. And against this crowd tonight, you're thinking they're so low ranked that it's got to be a formality we go out and won. But there's no intensity from the front. Kane, Harry tried, but I don't think Harry can press anymore. Dele obviously can't run. Dembele can't run. It's that bad that
Isn't that frustrating though, Gareth? Because like someone like Tanguy Ndombele, who we all know, all 4 of us will probably agree in the fact that we've seen glimpses of absolute genius from him, and we all know what he can do. He is just not consistent. He's had problems under every manager that he's played under at Spurs. But if you were him, wouldn't you be thinking now, Tottenham need that link-up player in midfield, to link up.
He doesn't think like me and you. He doesn't think like me and you. He doesn't care about Spurs. This is the thing. He's thinking about being the link-up player. I'm going to go out and be the star. He does not care. He trudged off. We're 15 minutes. We need a goal, and he limps off the pitch. There was actually I think Son hit him with one of the shots, and he sort of went down holding the back of his head. And that's just, he always seems to be injured on the floor, no passion. Even when he scored goals before for us, he never really looks that happy. I don't think he's that interested. And as we said, it's the same passive performance week in, week out. Bar the first, as we said, about against Vitesse, the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. And then that second half performance against Leeds, where you have to put it on the perspective, Chris, as well, that Leeds have been struggling all season. We were getting with, and I'm one of these people as well. I think we got carried away on Sunday. Everton have lost 5 of their last 6 Premier League games. Their only point coming against us, and they beat some poor sides in there. Conte's come on. You have to give them time. They turn things around. But in the immediate future, I don't really see anything that's changed that much. And it's not down to managers; it's down to players. When you look at this run of games coming up, we need points. We have to get on a run because it's going to get much tougher in the new year. You've got Arsenal and Chelsea coming up. But as I said, this was a great opportunity for some of the French players to come in, build a case, because over Christmas, Chris, as you say, there's not a lot of cup games. We have got the West Ham game, but there's a lot of Premier League games. and there's especially around Boxing Day, New Year, you can't really play the same team three games in 5 or 6 days. It's impossible. We're getting somebody injured. As we said about Matt Doherty coming on. It won't come on, but if Emerson gets injured, Chris, who's going to play right back? It's going to have to be Matt Doherty, and this is the problem.
This is why I get so upset about these players not taking opportunities, because we all know that we are going to get injuries. It's just what happens throughout a Premier League season, and players then need to come in. So, yeah, it's going to be frustrating.
I have never been this. I am really disappointed tonight because it was a good opportunity to build momentum. Under Conte, we've been unbeaten, and we haven't played that great, but we've been unbeaten. It was a chance to go into the weekend against Burnley or struggling, and then you've got Brentford, Norwich, Brighton. Obviously the Liverpool game's tough, but we've got West Ham in the cup, and we've got Crystal Palace, Southampton, and Watford all to come before the New Year's Day, and that's a really favourable run of games. And if you're going to run results there, get into the top 4, and then all of a sudden you get a few players on, and it's a 19-game shootout in the second half of the season, and we've got momentum. But now, Burnley's a big game on Sunday, because if we go there and lose, where does that leave us?
Yep. Well, every Premier League game is a big one. Adrian, let's come to you. Now, Antonio Conte, it seemed, wasn't going to take any chances of Tottenham not creating any shots on goal in that first half. So early second half, he made 4 substitutions. Davis, Mura, Son and Dyer came on for Dele Alli, Doherty, Brian Hill and Joe Rodon. What did you make of him making 4 subs all at once very early on?
Told you how concerned he was. He's read the first half. He see the game, didn't he? He knows. He's thinking, we're going to lose this game, or I can't trust certain players on the pitch. So he's substituted them, Now, but they've been given a chance, like you rightly said, and like you other guests have rightly said. So now he's got an excuse now to leave them out. If he'd have put half a dozen academy players on the bench, that would have sent the wrong message to the players that actually played today, and they played badly. So, now he's got an excuse to bring a few in. At right back, you could bring Lavernier in. You could even bring Maxim Pascozzi in, who's done very well for Estonia against Belgium the other day. Can play at right back and all that. You could, like we all know, Marcandi's playing out of his skin and things like that. It's a big risk, though, when you bring academy players in, but you can bring one in a game or something like that and try it, because you've got substitutes. You can always substitute them. We'll bring them on for the last half hour of a game or something like that. So, and I think he may well be forced to do that before January and getting a few bodies in, or it might be a question, although he made all those changes today, if he's going to play some of them players again, it won't be 9 changes, will it? It might be Dele Alli in a team, a different setup as one space, or someone else in there. With regard to the goal scoring, we don't know what goes on a training field. We don't know how. So you can have a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. You can change it. The systems are not static, are they? Rigid. But it's knowing, like, what role has that player been given in that position? I mean, when we played away at Everton and they played Højbjerg and Skip in the middle, I didn't expect them to play deep, sat in front of our back 3 all through the game. I thought we'd be a bit more on the front foot doing that. It didn't happen. And he did it again against Leeds in the first half. The midfield pivot sat back. I didn't expect to see that, Second half, it said because we weren't fit enough, so we'd have more, save our energy for the second half, So I looked at that. And I'm sure we all do it. We pick our own systems, we pick players, we do permutations in a header and get more out of this side and all that. And I was thinking, like, well, Kane scores goals outside the box. So if he played in a 10 role, right, because he can hit a shot from outside the box and score goals, then why can't Son and say Mura play as a front 2? And the reason I say that is because when you see Lucas play, it's always like the great slalom runs, rings loads of free kicks, beats 2 or 3 players, sometimes 4, gets fouled or loses the ball. Well, if he was playing up front like he did against Man United or when we played away at Ajax and plays like that, he hasn't got to beat 4 players, Chris. You might have to beat 1 or 2. And he's got the skill to nip in front of them and score goals. Now, I don't know if that would work. It's just an idea. I don't know if you've got any ideas how we're going to get more goals, because we've only got Kane and Son. So
Sonny's worrying at the moment, doesn't he? He's just not. I know I'm critical of Lucas of things, but Lucas is always trying to affect the game. You see, as you said, even the night he lost the ball a lot, but he was trying to make things happen. Sonny's been so passive. Only that one chance where he shot and the keeper saved it, but just over the last few games, Sonny just doesn't seem to be himself. I don't know. I think he's suffering from the lack of creativity in the team.
You didn't see a lot of him today in the second half, did you?
Who?
Well,
you didn't see a lot.
I was going to say,
No.
Melvin, let's come to you. In the 58th minute, it was our first shot on target from Heung-min Son. Runs past so many players, and the goalkeeper saved it, went out for a corner. The corner came in, Harry Kane headed, had a lot of space. Sadly, didn't find the net. Harry Kane then took a free kick in the 68th minute from outside the box, went over. We've talked about free kicks and Harry Kane many, many times on this show. And then in the 72nd minute, Harry Kane equalised. Fantastic finish from Harry Kane. The assist from substitute Lucas Mura. And it showed at that point that the substitutes really did make an impact for Antonio Conte and Spurs. Talk us through the goal.
Yeah, it was a good finish. You know, Harry on his day can finish nearly from anywhere. He's not been in form. He's been scoring for England, but you know, this season I think it's going to take him a while to really. I think it's not just Harry. I think it's just a continuation of what happened in the summer and a bit of everything. I think the confidence of the squad isn't very high. I think we're still suffering from the lack of creativity, and we're not playing to each other's strengths in a way. We have good players who cannot play in a system yet. And I think under Conte, if we can get it right and get them playing in a system and get them, you know, properly drilled, playing this new formation, then Kane can start scoring more like these goals. He's had chances this season, and because of the lack of confidence, he didn't really finish them. You know, against Leeds, he could have had a couple of goals if he was on his day and if he was high on confidence. Even though he was scoring in England for the international team, it just seems that the spark isn't there like it was last season. You know, last season, as much as Jose wasn't the best manager for us, he did find a way for Kane and Son to get into scoring positions and finish them off. You know, as much as we hated Jose and we weren't happy with him, he found a way for us to score. Well, some people did, some people didn't. Some people liked him, word. Some people. I always back the manager, but at the end of the day, he wasn't right for us. But he did find a way to get us scoring lots of goals, even though we still conceded lots of goals. But yeah, it's just until Conte finds a system for Kane and Son, because Son has been very, very quiet the last few games, and we need them both to start scoring, because if they don't score, other players need to pop up. And I think that's the reason we won against Leeds, because we found goals from, you know, Højbjerg and Reguilon, out of all players, two players that rarely score. You know, the first goal for Reguilon and Højbjerg scored, you know, I think his second goal of the season. But we definitely need Kane and Son to start scoring.
Gareth, let's come to you. What do you think is going on with Heung-min Son and Harry Kane? Because, of course, as Melvin said there, you know, they're their best season under Jose Mourinho. Jose really got them to playing, assisting, scoring, goal after goal. Incredible partnership. What's happened to both of them?
Do you know what? I had never thought I'd say it, but we actually played a lot better football under Mourinho than we've seen since he's not been here. I know towards the end it was very poor, but for a lot of his spell, we did see a lot of Kane and Son linking up. No, there's a few comments here. People are saying that maybe they're not, you know, on the same page in terms of, you know, Son, you know, come out of his fissure in the summer. Harry didn't, so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. But Son's performances have been, you know, I know he started the season not so bad, but his last few games is awful. Yeah, I do think we saw at times he does go through spells, but you know he does have purple patches and then he goes off form for a bit. So you know maybe it is just a case of getting them on the ball. But you know I think with Son he needs. I know he is capable of doing these magic runs and scoring goals, but he does need service. You know a lot of the goals he was scoring last season came as supplying the goals, and obviously Kane's not been at the top of his game. And as Melvin said, the lack of goals. You know, Højbjerg and Reguilon are going to score every week. You know, you look at the goals from Saturday. Højbjerg's must had a shot under the ground that's bounced over the keeper, and the other one was a deflected free kick comes off the post, and Reguilon can't really miss. You know, and you can't rely on that every week. You know, where's the team goals? You know, where's the goals where we see 3 or 4 passes and it breaks down a team? It's not happening, Chris. You know, so realistically going forward, that's not sustainable. You know, we need to see patterns of play. We need to see Kane and Son getting back to somewhere near their best. You know, Adrian makes a good point. You know, would we be better off with Kane playing as a number 10, and you know, maybe having a bit more pace up front, because you know that Dele or Ndombele is not going to be the creative sparks. You know, they're not going to work hard. Maybe we'd be better off with Kane playing as a 10 and playing Son and Lucas further forward. Yeah, it might not work, but you know, it does have a point. It wouldn't be worth trying, because at the minute it's just not working. You know, you see Kane. Sorry.
Also, because you've all noticed this. You watch football. You know your stuff, you guys, right? Our front three are all over the place. So the Kane's back, Son's over here, Lucas is back here, and all this. And then when we get the ball to break and go forward, we've got no one up front. Against Leeds in the second half, it's the first time I've seen us with 4 men in the box for ages. You go and watch the thing. Before that, we'd have a corner and there'd be 2 in the box. I mean,
like these boys would know more than me. He's you know, watching England, but you know, I watched the England games over the international break, and you know, Kane was getting a lot of service. He had crosses coming in from quality. He hasn't really got that at Spurs, and then therefore he's dropping deep. He's trying to be the creator. He just looks lost in that Spurs team at the minute, Chris, and that is the big thing, that he is our star player. Whether people like him or not after the summer, he still is our best player, and we're not getting the best out of him. And I think that's the biggest challenge for Conte, is can we get the best out of Kane? You know, I know he missed a couple of chances on Sunday against Leeds, but you know, you've seen the goal tonight. Regardless of the opposition, it was a moment of quality, the only real moment of quality in the game, that he's capable of doing that. And if he can get back to his goal scoring form, it might see us be a bit more consistent and, you know, score more goals. Because
Liverpool earlier, the way they play, Firmino tucks back a bit, Sade and Mane wide on the wings, right, and they're their fastest players. Yeah. So why aren't we doing? If it works for Liverpool and they won the Champions League and the league, why aren't we looking at that? Why aren't we at least?
It's obviously not as simple as copying teams, but you know, Liverpool players work their socks off, and we don't. You know, you get nowhere in football without hard work, and our players don't give 100%, Chris. You know, rarely, I can't remember the last game I ever watched, and this is how bad it's got, where I've went away and thought, geez, we left nothing on the pitch today. Because even the Leeds game, all right, it was good second half, but we should never really have been in that situation. We should have had that game. If we approached that game the right manner, it would have been over at half time, because Leeds were so poor. And the Everton game, they were there for the taking. A bit of quality, and we would have won that game. And it just worries me that we're going to Burnley on Sunday, who they haven't been in the best of form, but you know they're going to fight, and you know they're going to make it difficult. And will our players go there and have the stomach? They give it to Burnley. It's going to be cold up there. It's that time of the year. You know, and it's a big game for us, because you know, we've made up a bit of ground with the result last week, and teams dropping points. And if you look at it, West Ham's away to Man City, Arsenal have got Everton away and United away coming up. We've got the favourable fixtures in the next few weeks, Chris, so we have to make the most of it.
This was meant to be a favourable fixture as well tonight.
No.
Adrian, let's come to you. And I want to ask you all the same question here. What do you think Antonio Conte has learned from these set of players tonight?
Well, I think he'll have a hit list in his head. He'll have a hit list of those he knows. I'm not going to even bother to give that player another go.
Who, Adrian? Who?
Doherty for one. I think even Dele now and Ndombele. If Ndombele can't produce it against a team like Mura, I mean, you know, and Dele as well. You know, you look. I was looking to those two players to make an impact today, and got nothing from either of them. Nothing. So, you know, those three would go. I mean, like, I don't know what he's going to do with Winks, Davies. I mean, when Davies and Dyer come on, under this new manager, I've never seen him get forward so much there too. You know what I mean? I mean, like, people knock Dyer, but he's having a good season in my opinion. Davies as well. I mean, his stats. I said to you before, he's come for a lot of criticism, but when you compared his stats to Danny Rose, there was nothing in it. When you compared all them little stats of duels and going forward, and all the ones they've got, headed duels and one tackles, Rose was a little bit better on the attacking part of the game, and Davies was a bit better on the defending part of the game. When we played away at Man City last year, he did well against Foden and Sterling. I said to you, if you can do well against Foden and Sterling, I know we lost the game, then you can't be that bad a defender. And I think a lot of fans, they want all your defenders to be sexy, like they're all like wingers or something, like, you know what I mean? Like they've all got to be a Ronaldo or someone like that, you know? It doesn't.
I can't see Sanchez getting another chance after tonight. Conte is, not that he is attacking as well, but he does pride himself in being organised, and there's no way he can coach Sanchez. What Sanchez did, he can't coach a player that is a Colombian international. He's 26, 27, Sanchez, is he?
No, he's not. He's 24.
Is he 24?
I think he's just 24. I think
he's the same age as Joe Rodon.
He's 24, the same age as Winks.
Well, he can't. If you're going to start somewhere with a player, he can't. That is basics defending. He will not play. I'd be surprised if he plays again.
It's hit and miss for Colombia as well. It's hit and miss for them. And like I said, sometimes it's his positional player or like, his concentration.
Chris said he always seems to be falling over because his positional is that bad, and he's reading the games per. At least with Joe Rodon, there's something there with him. You can see him for ways.
I'd rather he went in the race. I'll tell you that now. I mean, I'd rather get rid of Sanchez because he is a foreign place. I think Dyer still is, isn't he, Chris? Because he's Portuguese.
Yeah, by the way, Dyer is the best at that point.
25.
Sorry, Chris?
Gareth, let's stay with you for a second. Simon writes on screen now, positive twist. We needed a performance like this to expose our frailties to Conte. Now he knows our weaknesses. Let the painful rebuild begin. I've seen a number of comments online already about this. Take tonight as a positive because Antonio Conte will realise a number of these players aren't good enough and a number of them will leave in the January transfer window or indeed the summer transfer window. Do you go along with that?
Do you know what? Hopefully that is the only positive you can take. But how many times have we said that before with different managers? Mourinho, Nuno. But the point that we spoke about earlier, Chris, the problem is you will have to trust them at some stage again. Ideally now we'd like to get rid of Dele, Ndombele, Sanchez, Doherty, all in January, but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to get them all out in January. There's going to be a lot of games between now and the season, so they're going to have to bring someone back in again. But hopefully the night is the one where they go, do you know what, now, between now and the summer, all these players do have to go. I did say when Conte came in as well that I do think it's going to be a very up and down season still. He's not a magician. He can't turn these lot into superstars overnight. He will need to bring in a lot of players and find out the ones there that he can trust and build for next year. It really is going to be about next season. Obviously, we're looking at it the here and now, and it doesn't make you feel any better because after what's happened tonight, you get up for the game. You've actually went out and travelled out there. I'm going to the game next week again. You're trying to build. You're trying to build. Yourself up for it. But that is the only positive that maybe now you can start to see the list of players, which ones he needs, which ones he doesn't need. And our hands are, our fit lies in Daniel Levy's hands. How much money is he going to give Conte to sort this out? Because there's no good getting rid of these players. They bring in another set of mediocre players. He needs to go out and get proven quality in there, and maybe try and see what's there in the youth academy as well. Because when was apart from Harry Kane, he was the last player to come through that's done anything for us. There's not enough coming through. There's a lot of promise about some of the players, but we were always famous for bringing the old player through as well, Chris, and that's not really happened. So we're relying on a recruitment from all our teams, and it's really poor. You have to say there's been very few hits. It's been a lot of misses. And Danny Rose always said that thing about having to Google players. We have to get proven players on. Conte and Paratici know the Italian league very well. But the problem with that, Chris, is not a lot of it. It's two different leagues, and the pace of the game is completely different in England. So just because a player is good in that league doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be good in England. But you have to trust them too, because Daniel Levy and Steve Hitchen have got us nowhere. And they've got a record for fighting gems. So it could be very much, Chris, short-term pain for long-term gain, if you get me. And it could be very much about just trying to manage through this season and then go again next year. But, Chris, I don't know about you, but I'm running out of patience, man.
Sorry?
I don't know about you, but I'm running out of patience.
Well,
every year, let's try it next year.
I'm just a little bit frustrated tonight because, as I said at the very start, I just feel like 9 great opportunities for players who we all know are decent players. We've seen them play decent football in the previous few years. We know that all of these players are capable of beating a team like Mura, the lowest ranked team in the competition. That's what I feel a little bit gutted about. And of course, we were on such a high after the weekend Antonio Conte's passion, beating Leeds United in the fashion and the manner that we did in that second half. Melvin, I want to ask you the same question. How do you think Antonio Conte is feeling right now? And it just seems a little bit, we've gone from feeling so high and so great at the weekend. I know it's a completely different team tonight, but it just feels like again, doesn't it?
Yeah, we still have the same problems. And I feel like, I think Gareth was right. In a way, we have to get worse in order for us to get better, if you know what I mean. We're still moving players on. I think last summer we moved on 4 or 5 players, and there's still another 4 or 5 players we still need to move on in order for us to bring, the new blood in. Players that Conte wants, players that Paratici
Did you not
wants.
say they bring Sissoko back, Melvin, earlier on?
Sorry?
I thought you said they bring Sissoko back earlier on.
Honestly, the players we had last season that we moved on.
Yeah, but we moved them on for a reason, Melvin.
Sorry?
We moved on 10,
for a reason.
we moved on 10 and we brought in 5. All right, some of them 10 were loans.
It's a start. It's a start that we moved them on, and we're still in that process of moving on the players that we still don't want.
But Poch moved on 36 players in 5.5 years.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Do you know what though, Adrian? See the first season that Poch had though. He did move on a lot of like Arabior, Capuet, a lot of the players he didn't feel could buy into what he wants. So you gotta hope that Conte does the same between now and the summer. And next season we have a settled squad, all fighting on the same sheet.
I think this season, in a way, is like a really, really long pre-season, and he needs to look at these players and see which players he can improve and he can honestly rely on, and the players that he cannot improve in 8 months, he can sell and he can, trade them for nothing. If
there'll be players already. Paratici would probably already have deals that virtually just need signing off. He'd have done about, every position, probably about 6 players for. And some will have agreed, I'll get back to you in January once we sort things out. And he has a word with Don Conte, right? And the money's there, right? There'll be 100 million plus there for January. And you don't put the full down payment down in one go. The revenue streams are online. Spurs are actually raking in a lot of money now, 5 million from them silly skywalks and tours and all that, and the abseiling that Chris is going to do at charity.
No.
There was 8 events at the stadium. That's now going to be 16. That's reputed to bring in 40 million. Gate receipts are going to jump from 95 million because we haven't had a full season, 220 million, right? We had a turnover of 361 million last year. The year before in the Champions League, it was 402, right? It's estimated that we will become the 4th club in the world, that our revenue streams will go up to 500 million. If you work on a 25% profit margin, sorry, I've been doing maths, as you all know. So you're talking 125 million. We should be in a position to go out and buy 2 top-class players every season. Right? Yeah. The money's going to be there for Conte. He wouldn't have come if it wasn't there. It's there. It's going to happen. Patience. I know Spurs fans are the world's worst for patience, but, it's
Adrian,
there.
Adrian, I want to ask, who do you think will be the winners in this Tottenham Hotspur squad under Conte? Who do you think he will improve? Because, of course, we all know him at previous clubs. He has really improved average players and turned them into superstars, fantastic players and winners, trophy winners. And who do you think are going to be the losers? Who do you think is going to end up being sold and, he's going to come to the conclusion, I can't do anything with you?
I think, like Gareth said, Sanchez will go. Doherty will go. Dele will go. Ndombele will go.
You think he's going to be ruthless then?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I think Lascelles will be another one.
Actually, I think Dyer and Davies are safe as houses. And I think Davies, unless we get a left centre back in, like Botman or Bastoni or someone in, we definitely need another left centre. I mean, I hope we get De Vries in, actually, because I think because he's 29 and for what he would cost, he'd be ideal. Experience there at the back, So that would do. I know Delit's been mentioned. Who hasn't been mentioned at centre back? Kuendi. There's a whole list of them that you could go through. But I think De Vries, we could get De Vries in January. I think he's because he's older and they'll want to keep their younger pairing. So midfielder, that's different. I don't know who he's going to go for. I'd like Brozovic, but I would take Brozovic, Kessie, or even McKennie.
Isn't it funny? I'm talking about the Spurs squad, saying who's going to be a winner and who's going to be a loser.
He's away shopping.
And you're away shopping, exactly. You're naming all these players you want to sign.
Yeah, but I'll give you a few who I wouldn't keep. I mean, obviously you're going to keep Gil and all that, and Pape Sarrs for next season, so you don't talk about him at the moment, right? Sessègnon, I think, will be fine. So on the left, we look okay. On the right, Tanganga's okay to me. He's a better player than Rodon, in my opinion. So, who else?
I think Romero could be a winner, couldn't he? I think Romero could definitely do a bit under Conte.
Romero.
Do you know what the problem is too, Chris?
It's class, isn't it?
The problem is
you just see him, you just think, yeah.
The problem is, but you see, with Kane and Son and Lucas, they're all aging. They're coming towards their 30s, and how much improvement can Conte do with them? Because Kane's produced for years and years and years. So there's no guarantee that we could have already. We don't know this, and we hope not, but we might have already seen the best of Kane and Son. We might have already seen them.
Mura's another one, though, isn't he?
Mura's another one.
He's had a good season, but again, not enough end product with him. I like him as a player. I mean, if we hadn't had him in some of these games, I don't know what would have happened. But he could be another one that's sacrificed.
We could make it. And a lot of people probably won't agree, but we probably could do, Chris. We freshen up our front three. Maybe not this. It's not our biggest. I don't think it's our biggest area that needs addressed. I think centre midfield is a massive priority. But within the next 12 to 18 months, I do think it's coming to I'm not sure how much more we can do with them three players, because they've been here that long now. And it's not all entirely their fault, Chris. We haven't won anything with Kane, Son, and Lucas. They have, I have to say, they've been let down by our players too. It's not entirely their fault, but where's their motivation to keep going for us? Because they've been here that long now and they've not achieved anything. So I think that's going to be a challenge for Conte too. Over the next 18 months, we probably do need to freshen that front three up, just for a bit of excitement too, Chris. Because as you say, there definitely is something going on there, but because they don't seem to have the relationship they used to have. I just wonder, is that relationship gone stale?
Vlahovic in January.
Melvin, let's come to you on the same question. Who do you think is going to be a winner under Antonio Conte, and who's going to be a loser? Because when I think of players like Harry Winks and Ben Davies and Eric Dyer, who have been heavily criticised by the fans in the last couple of years, I think that those three are going to be winners under Antonio Conte. And when I say winners, I don't mean trophies, perhaps trophies, hopefully trophies, but I mean, game time in the Premier League.
I think Kane is such an intelligent player. I think he'll fit under Antonio Conte's system. I think any instruction you give him, I think he'll do it. Son, I don't know. I think because he doesn't really play with wingers, does he? So you have to play Son either as a striker with Harry. It depends. I think Oliver Skip, I see him as being, really, really solid player for us going forward. I think he'll be very, very good. He's still, ideally, I would have preferred for him to be loaned out and play a season in the Premier League, for example, with Norwich. But we don't have the players, we don't have the squad depth. If we did, that would have been, kind of like Chelsea do with their players. They send them out, they let them do their mistakes with the other teams, and then they come back, Premier League proven players, young, hungry. But I guess Oliver Skip is going to be, learning and making the mistakes with us, and we have to be patient with players like him. But he's slowly becoming one of my favorite players, because you look at these guys, they come through, the ranks at the club, and they've been with us since like the age of 10. And I really admire players like him. I think Winks had a positive start to his career under Conte. Hopefully, with the new system, players like Winks can, like today, we expected Dele to really, really push for his position and maybe make a claim for a start, but he didn't. But I think if Winks if he trusts him again on the weekend against Burnley and he, repays him and he plays well, that's what we need to see. We need to see players that really, grab the opportunity and play well, and maybe create a goal, create an assist, create something, have a bit of magic, bravery, and and do something. And if Winks can continue playing like that, which I don't think he can create it that quickly all of a sudden. He can't just flip the switch and become the player he was under Pochettino. But if he can capture maybe half of that and do a job, he just needs to do a job until, either January or the end of the season. Maybe he can push for a place and he can stay next season, because most of the Spurs fans don't want Oliver Winks anymore. Most of the players have a list of all the players we don't want. Most fans can tell you he's rubbish. We can name 6 or 7 players that we all don't want. But these players need to show Conte that he can trust them and they can do a job. So that's what they're playing for. They're playing pretty much for their Spurs career. If they want to remain at the club, they need to show Conte that they can adapt to his system and they can play, the way he wants them to play. This energetic, fighting till the last minute, that this attitude that you never lose, that the game is never over. And if those players, even in Ndombele, even Lo Celso, if those players can suddenly show Conte that, they can revitalize their career. If it will happen, I doubt it, because these players have been with us for 3 years. So I don't think, if it didn't happen under Jose, it didn't happen under Nuno, it's going to happen under Conte. Probably not. So
Melvin, how do we lose every time you're on?
Harry Winks magic.
Sorry?
I hope we get some of this Harry Winks magic anyway. I will pray. Honestly, Melvin, I'll send you a love letter if Harry Winks does a bit of magic for us.
Another thing I noticed today, with the lineup, and what we did so well against Leeds was getting the wing backs forward. And under Poch, remember he used to complain because every other game he played a different pair of wing backs. We'd have Rose and Walker playing one game. Next game he'd switch them or give them a rest. Today, another thing which didn't help the front three is that our wing backs didn't get forward. So if you're going to play on a 3-4-3, they have to get forward. They can't be pushed back into a back five. They have to get forward. Or, Conte's a good enough tactician. You change things at half time, or you change things through the game. But
I think that's been the positive, though. Seeing the games that I've seen, though, Emerson and Reguilon do look better players since Conte's come on.
It will take time.
I think it will take time, but I think the problem, Chris, we can talk about Winks, we can talk about Skip, Højbjerg. They are what they are. I don't think Conte can do much with them. They're not that type of player that's going to create loads and loads of chances. So we're going to have to rely on Emerson and Reguilon to create chances from out wide. And I think that's the way we'll score goals, is getting them 2 boys on the attacking positions, and obviously getting involved with Lucas, Kane, and so on. I think that's why he does play Højbjerg and Skip or Højbjerg and Winks, because he knows he has to be strong in midfield. And like it or not, they are our best options at the minute. We'll have much better chance of winning games with Winks, Skip, Højbjerg than we do with Dele Alli or Ndombele. They haven't got as much quality, but at least their attitude's a lot better. And then we have to rely on Emerson, Reguilon, Kane, Lucas, and so on to score the goals.
Even Dyer has improved under Conte.
With 2 holding midfielders. That shows you the lack of quality we've got in midfield, or lack of consistent quality. We might have the skillful players, but they just haven't got the they haven't got the energy.
But you know what, Adrian? That's three managers in a row have opted to go that way. They've opted to play with Højbjerg and Skip, or Højbjerg and Winks, or Sissoko's been in there. A lot of these managers have left out Ndombele and Dele Alli, and it's for the very same reason that they don't run and they can't be trusted.
Gareth, do you want to talk us through Mura's winning goal in the 94th minute? How on earth?
As soon as Ben Davis slapped the right one was on the wall, you just knew it. And then I was thinking, he's one-on-one with Sanchez. Surely Sanchez can't let him inside. But what does he go and do? He lets him inside. And then Gary Neville always talks about it. When a player, the best defenders, when they make a mistake, they don't make a second mistake. He dives in like an absolute idiot, and then they compound his misery. It's actually going wide, and it deflects over the top of the goalkeeper. So he's not just made one mistake, he's made 2 mistakes. I don't know what it was. To be fair, the pitch was poor, but it's not an excuse, because it does seem a lot of players falling over, and a lot of.
This is where Romero's so good. he spots danger and he moves
on the
quickly.
ball.
So
ball
he would have
gets
intercepted once a wide centre back had missed it. Romero would have been straight onto them, close the space down. Yeah, but you know, that's history now, isn't it?
See, to be fair, Chris, Mura deserved the one for taking us being Spurs fans out of it. You know, they worked their socks off. They showed probably the most quality in the game with their first goal. And for that first half, we were totally outplayed in that first half, to be honest. Second half, it was a lot better. And as Adrian said, at one each, it only looked like 1-1. But then last 10 minutes, they kind of come out, and to their credit, you know, they kept trying to play from the back. They always try to play football. They didn't just kick it long. You know, they were trying to do stuff. You could see they were well coached for the level they're at. And they got a lot of luck at the end with the goal. But they probably deserved it on the balance of play. But you know, it doesn't help us. But it's just one of the nights, Chris. We need to try and forget it as quickly as possible and try and move on to Sunday. But you know,
the club were only formed 12 years ago. That will go down as their best win in their history, without any doubt. In Group G now, Rennes are top. They've played 5. They've won 3. They've drawn 2. They've got 11 points. We are sitting in second with 7 points from 5 games. Vitesse are third, 7 points from 5 games, which means that the game against Rennes on the 9th of December is a must-win game. We have to win that game in order to qualify. And if we do finish second, which is the highest that we can finish in the group, we will have to play a playoff in February 2022. Another couple of games that we could do without, really.
Did you see the teams we could play, Chris, in the playoff?
Yeah,
Napoli,
absolutely.
Celtic, Rangers, PSV, all difficult games.
Yeah, we could be up against Carlos Vinicius. Yeah, Adrian, let's come to you. Antonio Conte has already come out and said that he wants to take this competition seriously. How do you feel about this competition yourself?
I mean, we're in it, so let's try and win it. It doesn't excite me, I'll be honest, it doesn't excite me, but it's a trophy. So while we're involved in any trophy, let's try and win them.
And Spurs are favourites to win it.
That might have changed.
Well, are we even favourites to get out of the group now? Because Vitesse play Mura.
We've only got to match Vitesse's. We haven't got to beat Vens. We've only got to match Vitesse's.
But they're home to Mura.
Yeah, but Mura might beat them.
You would think, Adrian, that Vitesse are going to beat Mura at home. You would think
Well, we have to see, don't we? When we're all right with Rennes, we can probably go full strength. We're supposed.
The only positive with Rennes is they've already topped the group. The game means absolutely nothing to them, and they might have. I'm not sure where they are in France, but I'm nearly sure they're up near the top of the league. Maybe not near the top, but they're on the chance we finish maybe top 4. So they might have a priority. Yeah, they might not go strong.
We'll go strong. We'll go strong against Rennes, right? And then, like you say, with a 2-game playoff game, well, if we get a big side, it'll be good for the gate at Spurs, and we'll all go and enjoy the game, I'm sure, you know, on a 2-match playoff. But then we'll have to see where we are regarding, you know, how well we're doing in the league by then. By the time we get to 2-match playoff, who we got in the FA Cup, League Cup, whatever it is, whatever the fixtures line up at that particular time, to see what sort of team we play in a playoff. But we should beat Rennes. Rennes are having a very good season in France.
Yeah. Melvin, how are you feeling about this competition?
Well, we have 3 Premier League games in 8 days, and we have to play our best squad in those 3 games, because, like Gareth said, we have to maximize on these matches and get 9 points. So he's gonna have to rotate for the Conference League, and the squad's just not good enough. I can honestly see us getting knocked out if we don't play our best 11.
Well, we're definitely getting on for that one.
Yeah, honestly, because we talk about these competitions year after year, and are we good enough to win the Europa League? Yes, last season we were. Yeah. But we rotate the squad because we want to get into the top 4 for the weekend. We want to rest the best players. Then we go 1-0 down, or we're not, or it's still 0-0. And then we start throwing these players on like they're going to produce miracles. And then we end up losing the match. Happens year after year after year after year. If we set out to say, we're going to win the Europa League this season and put all our eggs in that basket, and play the best lineup that we can, we probably would win it. But we prioritize the Premier League and the top 4 position because of what it brings. It brings you, you know, the revenue and the money, and more players want to come to your club. So do I think we're going to win do we have the ability to win the Conference League? We probably have a good starting 11 that can win it, but we don't play them. We play, you know, with Dele Alli and Gill and Rodon and these guys, and Gallini, who can't make a save, you know, to save his life.
But don't you think he'll play? It's like saying 11. I mean, I've been looking at who he's been picking regularly for starting 11s in the league, looking at the subs bench. Whoever's left out of the matchday squad, they look doomed as it happens if they get left out of the matchday squad in the future. But I can still see Sessègnon Dele getting game, coming in and getting games when others need a rest. Maybe Bergwijn as well, and if he's out of favour because he's a winger and he doesn't often play with wingers. But so we're not stuck with just 11, you know. So
can I just give you some Antonio Conte
failures today might not be the worst thing to do, and they might have to do it. But you ain't going to play all 9 of the changes, are you? So he will switch things. Winks will get games. We know that. I know he's not popular amongst a lot of Spurs fans. He will get games. Definitely get games. Because we just need it in midfield. We can't burn out Højbjerg and Skip.
What just seems to happen is there's these core players like Skip, Højbjerg, Lloris, Dyer, Kane, and Son.
Royal regular.
It just seems if that spine isn't playing. I think Reguilon, you know, I think Sessègnon can do a job. Tanganga right back can do a job. But it just seems if we don't have that spine, any of those players that I just mentioned missing, it seems we won't win. We won't get even close to scoring. Like today, once those players had to be substituted back in for us to get a reaction. Yeah, we were playing one man down, but if any of those players don't play, you know, Crystal Palace, we played with, I think, Dele Alli, Skip, and Ndombele in midfield or something like that it was. And they just, you know, tore us apart. It just seems that if we don't play our best lineup, we had 3
defensive midfielders against Palace. We played Skip, Højbjerg, and Winks.
Yeah.
And it fell miserably. And that's why Nuno changed it. All attack against Arsenal went. Because at Wolves, we got away with a win, and we tried Ndombele, it didn't work. So Nuno changed it again. That's what I thought in away games, he was getting it so wrong tactically. And the substitutions were late and a player got sent off. But that's history, you know, before I even made the substitutions. But, you know, you all know that.
Just want to give you some quotes from Antonio Conte after tonight's game. He said, after 3 weeks, I'm starting to understand the situation. It is not simple. At this moment, the level at Tottenham is not so high. He then went on to say, I'm happy to stay here, but we have to work a lot to improve the quality of the squad. We at Tottenham, but there is an important gap with the top teams, but I'm not scared. And then he went, I'm not a magician. And after 3 weeks, I've found players that want to work and have great commitment, but sometimes it is not enough. Gareth, your thoughts on this competition? Do you want to go out to win it? Because, you know, there have been a lot of Tottenham fans so far this season. They're like, well, just, you know, let's get out of it. It's not a great competition to be in. You know my thoughts. I want a trophy. I would take this competition all day long.
It's easy to say that, Chris, when you're struggling on it. We have the next Thursday. I know it's not Brentford's next Thursday, but the 2 weeks is a cup final. Ren, you have to win. Vitesse will beat Mura. We have to win that game. I agree. I think Melvin makes a great point. If we don't play our strongest 11 or anywhere near it, it's hard to see us getting a result against a decent French team who think they're unbeaten in the group right now. I think they've won and drew every game. They've either won or drew in all their games. You have to say in that first game we were very fortunate to get anything out there against them. And as I said, the only thing that might play in their hands is they have won the group now, so it really is a meaningless game to them. Will they come with their strongest? Probably not. And the fact that we have to go and win the game, it should give us that extra incentive. But it's a big couple of weeks. We've got 3 home games on there, which is a positive because we do seem to play a bit better at home. But Burnley away, Norwich or Brentford at home, Norwich at home, Rennes at home. You know it's a big couple of weeks, these next 4 games. I did say before tonight that I thought December was a huge month that would define our season. If we can come out of December, qualify for the next round, if we can beat West Ham and get in the semi-final, if we can pick up a lot of points now and get us into the top 4 going into the second half of the season, then it could all look different, Chris. As we know, football can change very quickly. But we need to start winning games, and we need to get on our running games. Not no good winning and then drawing and then losing. We have to get into some sort of rhythm. Like, we haven't had any rhythm really, Chris, for the last few years. When's the last time we've done a one and run of 4, 5, 6 games? It's not really happened. But if it's going to happen this season, Chris, it's going to happen in December, because the fixtures have fell our way at a crucial time in the season where you kind of want favourable fixtures because there's not a lot of rest time between games. And if you look at December too, a lot of the teams around us that are going to be fighting for them European places actually have tough games. So, huge month ahead, Chris. So let's just hope that we can get that result against Rennes, because, as I said, this is a competition we should be aiming to win. It is. You look at the teams on it, Chris. If we played our best team on it, there's no reason why we couldn't go far in it. It's not as simple as playing your best team, and football's not played on paper. So there's no right to say, or no God-given right, especially a team like us who hasn't won anything for a long time. They say if we can go and win it if we play our best. But I can't see us going anywhere, Chris, if we aren't playing our strongest team on it, and that's the concern. Because at what point of the season does where's the priorities lie? If we're sitting in February and we're sitting maybe in the top 4, and it comes to playing one of these teams in the playoff, where does he go? In terms of the strongest team, does he play it on the Thursday or does he play it on a Sunday in the league? And that is going to be the big issue we're going to have, unless we get a couple. We're only going to get 1 or 2 in January, Chris, maybe 3 at a push. The majority of the business is going to be done next summer. So, at some point, as I said, reluctantly, he's going to have to bring a couple of these players back, and maybe not them all, but he will have to trust some of them again.
Well, just to clear up tonight's game, Tottenham had 58% possession, 15 shots, 3 on target and 3 corners. Adrian, let's start with you. Let's talk about the Burnley game on Sunday in the Premier League. And then, of course, a very busy December. 9 games in all competitions throughout the month of December. So 10 games left of this calendar year 2021. Burnley away. And then, as Gareth said, a very busy December. Brentford at home, Norwich at home, Rennes at home, Brighton away, Leicester away, Liverpool at home, West Ham at home in the Carabao Cup, Crystal Palace at home on Boxing Day, and then on the 28th of December, Southampton away. Adrian, what's your score prediction for the Burnley game? How do you think Tottenham are going to set up, and how do you think December will go?
I think Burnley will be very similar to the Everton game, and I think we'll win 2-0. And I think we will pick up a lot of points during December. If this game would be a rocket for a lot of the players. I just wonder, we'll have to see how we go. And I just wonder if perhaps maybe 1 or 2 of the academy players might be given run-outs in the second half for half hour, 25 minutes. I'd like to see one of the midfielders being given a go, to be honest. If the game's already won, and you're 2 or 3-0 up, get like Amar Candy on the field, or Harvey White, who scored a great free kick the other day. I don't see why.
The thing is, Adrian, David writes on screen now. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think this is relevant. David writes on screen. We played our best against Leeds and only played for 45 minutes. Of course, that's second half. The contrast of that first half and second half, incredible difference. The lack of movement when we were in possession is worrying. Now, the thing is, and I keep saying this on lots of videos, if everything was absolutely fantastic at the moment, we were scoring goals, Harry Kane, Kane Son were on fire, the midfield were really linking up, we had creativity throughout the whole of the pitch, Antonio Conte wouldn't be here. We'd still be under Nuno Espirito Santo. And the fact that we've got Antonio Conte now, I think is a fantastic thing for the club. It's energised all of us fans, not so much tonight, but that Leeds game on Sunday, as David has said, 45 minutes, surely that is what Antonio Conte is going to install into these players, to have that belief and go on to win games. Because I think the Burnley game, and I remember Turf Moor, I think that game was behind closed doors when we won 1-0, grinded the result out under Jose Mourinho, and all of us Spurs fans were raving. It weren't a great game, but we were all raving, saying these are difficult games, difficult place to go. It's about grinding results out, and that's what Jose Mourinho is at Spurs for. It's going to be very interesting on Sunday, isn't it, how Antonio Conte gets that result. But as Gareth said, if we could start stringing a couple of results together, particularly in December, we could start climbing up that league table.
Yeah, but that means playing for 90 minutes, and we've done that once against Man City at the beginning of the season, opening season bounce.
But it's got to be the Conte effect now, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. The other times it's got to be the halves, isn't it? You know, good half against Chelsea. Villa game was okay, you know, things. But we haven't. When have we last played well for 90 minutes? You know.
Paul makes a fantastic point here. Paul is saying, you know, that we're saying about a rocket. How many rockets has Conte got? Because you can't every week, you know, have the rocket halftime team talk. He is going to run out of rockets. You can't just, as you say, 90 minutes. When was the last time we played 90 minutes? We can't just keep drafting through games and then trying to nick games by a goal. You know, Burnley, we know Burnley's going to be a tough game. It's never, you know, but Nuno's last one was against Burnley in the League Cup, wasn't it? So, and Burnley looked they look very limited that night. They've only won one game all season. You know, it really shouldn't pick a rocket.
Conte's always said it though, isn't he? He's hanging on to January. And read between the lines what Chris said, the quotes from Conte.
Yeah.
About the backing and all that. We know players are going in. We're just hanging in there till January. We get as many points. I'll settle for 30 points in 10 games. You know what I mean? So we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there through all this period now, digging in. And the fans will give him time. They like him. He's got an instant rapport with the fans, right? We love that passion down the touchline, don't we? Because that should spread to the players and through the players. He's trying to show the passion. I think he's a good part psychologist in Conte as well. You know, he's doing that deliberately. You know, that's to stir the players as well. And if they can't up their game, see ya, bye, close the door on the way out. You know what I mean?
Well, Adrian, David writes another comment here saying the players are lazy and spoiled. It won't be long before they start hating Conte's training regime. Now, all the players in the last couple of weeks have been raving about Antonio Conte. I know he's taken away the ketchup and he's taken away the mayo, which some of them might not like. But
and the button as well.
It's the Conte effect. You know, surely these players are going to be fitter. That's why, do you know what? It surprised me tonight on Sessègnon Dele, the fact that he didn't seem to be sprinting, didn't seem to be running. I know that we've seen him be quite lazy, if that's the right word to use, on Dele. I would have thought he would have had a little bit more spark tonight because of Conte's effect these last few weeks in training.
Well, if they start moaning or you get little clicks, that's why he started making them all be together in a campaign, which is right. They should all be together rather than little cliques of players here, there, and everywhere. That's not good. If that all starts like, manager complaints back to the tail's not going to wag the dog this time with Conte. He will be backed. Because he's got Paratici there and Levy and all that, and they've promised him a transfer fund. We don't know how much, but I reckon it's at least 150 mil. And this is not going to happen. Players will be going, and it'll be on a ratio 1 in, 1 out. I mean, if you get rid of midfielder, you've got to bring a midfielder in. It's simple. All right, striker's different. We'd like to get Vlahovic in, like to get him in January and get the jump on others. And if it's a defender, it'll be a defender going. And I think it'll definitely be Doherty or Sanchez are probably the first two out the door. But we'll see, won't we?
Melvin, before I come to you, I'm just going to read another comment from David for Adrian here. Don't bank on January, because you're talking, Adrian, like we're going to have millions of pounds to spend in January, and you're very confident that we're going to sign a lot of players in January. You know, I do worry about that. Don't bank on January.
I'd be skeptical about that too, Adrian.
Yeah, we need to sell to buy. Nobody will buy our crap at Levy prices, and we'll use that we tried to sign, but talks broke down. Adrian, what gives you that confidence that we're going to sign players in January? Because we very rarely sign players in January. And, of course, you don't always get the best players because the teams don't sell the best players in January.
Well, if we can't get the players that Conte wants, then we won't get them if they're not on his list. You know, if he's got several in each position that he's willing to take. The money's there, Chris. The revenue streams are online. I like David's quotes, by the way. I see him quote a lot of stuff. The money's there. The revenue streams are online. Once the money's pouring in, the money becomes available. The bankers will give you the money to go and get these deals done. I mean, people, what do people think we're broke because we've just got a £706 million deficit?
I don't think it's a case of being broke, Adrian. I don't think it's a case of being broke. I just think it's a lack of willing to spend. I don't think there's ever been a money issue. Like, it's just that there's always been money there. Maybe it's not so much with the stadium in recent years, but we're not a poor club. It's just there's been a lack of wanting to spend big at times.
Well, you know the statement that they said that we spent 400 million since
the stadium
since the stadium opened. That shouldn't be something to be proud of, because we haven't improved the squad since we moved into the stadium. We've only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. We still have the same problems we started with back then. We haven't replaced Kyle Walker. We haven't replaced Danny Rose. We haven't replaced Moussa Dembele. And we spent 400 million and we haven't improved the squad. So
it's a deflated transfer market at the moment, right? You're not going to see these great big prices for Galacticos like you did a few seasons ago until clubs start getting the revenue streams back online and clearing their debt. That's why they're desperate. There's one club who wanted to sell us that Nandez midfielder, South American or whatever it was. I'm willing to reduce the price now. It's a buyer's market. We should be striking now in January. And if some of these Italian teams, which are overloaded with players, which is where our players are going to come from, more likely than not, then I'm confident we will get at least 3 in January. For that simple reason, they need the money. They are desperate.
Yeah. Melvin, let's come to you. How are you feeling about the Burnley game on Sunday?
I'm excited because, you know, after seeing the Leeds match, it reminded me of, you know, a game under Pochettino when we fought till the last second. Yes, I think we got a bit lucky with, you know, with the deflected cross, the deflected free kick, and but it just reminded me of when we played under Pochettino. It's not the same style of football. It's just how I felt, and even I think the fans and the whole Conte thing, him cheering the fans and the whole thing. So against Burnley, we need the 3 points because we need to have, you know, another 3 points to continue a winning streak in the Premier League. We need to, you know, the games Gareth mentioned, we need to win them all. If we stand a chance to close the gap to the Champions League, because if we win these games against, you know, the lesser teams, we'll be closing the gap. And if we can invest in January, like Adrian is saying, and we can get to the Champions League as close as possible, and that's why I think, you know, these cup competitions are gonna, you know, hinder any chance of us getting into the top 4, because I don't think we have anywhere near the squad depth to fight on these competitions. You know, we don't have the squad depth to play, you know, to the semi-final of the League Cup, to the semi-final of the Conference League, to the quarter-final of the FA Cup. We don't have the squad depth, so might as well we get eliminated early in some of these competitions and just focus on the Premier League, try to get as much points as we can, and try to push for that top 4 spot, even though we don't have the squad. And comparing us to the other clubs, there's a huge gap right now. And even Conte says it, there's a huge gap in quality. But, you know, our starting 11 is good. It's not good enough, but it is good to be within a shout. And under Conte, you know, that fighting spirit, I think, you know, work rate sometimes can beat talent, but there needs to be that work rate and that you know, that fighting mentality again. And if we keep beating these teams, we have.
We're going to win on Sunday. Melvin's not on here.
Another thing,
Chris, I'll bench myself.
Do you think, like all these changes today, do you think that fear and lack of confidence played a big part in the performance of the 9 new players? Because if you haven't been getting a lot of game time, and the Premier League's very forgiving, sometimes you haven't got time to give players game time. You know, they have to hit the ground running, don't they?
No, today they played these
I mean,
players, the back
use an
line, if you look
example,
at the back
players'
line, they've
attitudes.
never played together. So
Right.
you expect them not to play.
Did you see the interview with Reguilon after the game when he scored the goal?
Yeah.
He was buzzing and smiling, Chris, wasn't he? Right?
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
buzzing and smiling.
Yeah.
If you interviewed Ndombele, you wouldn't get the same interview, would you? It'd be it'd be like that. That's what I want to see regular. You get that from Royal when I've seen Royal England. He's trying to learn the language, and they're the sort of players that enthusiasm, and you know it's there. They want to win. They've got the the energies in them, the drive, the enthusiasm.
Well, we saw that difference, Adrian, after the game. Antonio Conte, of course, very passionate after that Leeds game, after the 2-1 win. And then, of course, trying to hug Doherty and Bergwijn, and they kind of just dismissed it. And I think some of the players were actually so taken back. And I think Conte almost injured some of the players the way he was celebrating with them. And I think they were so surprised. But I love seeing that passion, and I love seeing the players so happy. And I love seeing interviews like that with Reguilon. And you're absolutely right. You don't get interviews like that with Tanguy Ndombele. So I do think, somewhere down the line, some of these players do need to go, because
even
Antonio Conte,
you don't get that. Where's the enthusiasm? Where's the, you don't get that with him, And with, like you said, with Bergwijn, he looked like he found a tenner and lost 20 quid. You know what I mean? He's like, he right sour look on his face. Perhaps because he thinks Conte doesn't play wingers. Well, then, all right.
Yeah.
Then you'll be gone. Or he might try you as a wing back. But we tried that with Son in a final once. It didn't work, did it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
true.
I don't know. So, look, we're still guessing. We're in unknown territory with Conte. I'm every confidence in him. I know he's sorted out. And I know he'll take us forward. And I definitely know we're going to have new blood in January. I'm supremely confident of that. And it's going to happen. And we'll pick up points. We'll be fine.
Well, we're certainly all buzzing from his appointment. Absolutely. It's a fantastic managerial appointment. Gareth, let's come to you on Burnley. What are your thoughts on the Burnley game?
Chris, it's such a winnable game. You go up there with the right attitude. I think you won the game. Don't give anything silly away early on. If we can start fast. I mean, when was the last time he started a game, properly? I don't think it's happened in the league really all season. We got to start putting the practices in the place, Chris, so that we can string results together. Not just go up here and hey, we won't care in the end. But if we do follow the line and we say we nick a 1-0, it's a 1, but we'll know it's just peppering over the cracks. If we were to go up here and score 2 or 3 goals, and you see players coming back in the form again, it would give you a lot more confidence going into December. And I think that's what we need. We need to get our main players performing again, seeing smiles on their faces, seeing that passion that we seen on Sunday. Because, you have to say Leeds weren't great on Sunday, but that atmosphere, Chris, I know I wasn't at the game, but I was watching it on TV and seeing Conte, hugging the players, and there was a lot of fuss pumping. We haven't seen that for a long time at Spurs, and that was kind of one thing I looked at and thought, well, hopefully over a longer period we can see that developing, which is why I'm so disappointed about tonight. But if we can get back to winning ways on Sunday, with the right type of performance and build on that there for December, because we've spoke about it a few times, Chris, we're not going to get too many chances in terms of fixtures coming up to pick up the points that we can. And look, we can talk about lack of confidence, Adrian, and stuff, and that team tonight we played hadn't won a game in the Europa League, Europa Conference League, not Europa League yet. And they've been on their mid-table in Slovenia, and they didn't really show a lack of confidence. So, as we're not going to go back over it again, but I do think it was a lack of effort more than anything else, not a lack of confidence. But the players that played against Leeds, hopefully that won, they're all coming back into the team, the majority of them, that we can kick on Sunday. And as you say, between January and the summer, getting the players out that don't want to be here. And Adrian is right. If there's any man that's going to do it, it's going to be Conte. Conte will hopefully get them out as soon as possible. And if that means letting them go cheaper than Daniel Levy wants to, then he'll have to back Conte, because he won't put up anything less. And if it means we have to spend more than Daniel Levy wants to spend, then you know what? If he wants to get back into the top 4 in the Champions League and seeing Spurs won trophies, then it's going to have to be done, because he's one of the big reasons we're in this mess, Chris. This has been a slippery slope for the last 3 or 4 seasons. And you can look at managers, you can look at players, but Daniel Levy oversees it all. So he has to take the main responsibility for it.
Well, that brings us on perfectly to the final question. Sorry, what do you wanted to say?
No, I was looking at the fixtures, and I think if we win this Burnley match, and then we play Brentford and Norwich at home, two newly promoted teams, and somehow we can get 9 points out of 3 games, we'll shoot up the Premier League table.
Do you know what? Now when I look at the fixtures, we probably see if we won the next 3 games, we'll probably be sitting 4th. We're only 4 points behind West Ham. West Ham play Man City away on Sunday. Now West Ham are playing well this season, and there's every chance they could go there.
We're fully capable of winning the next 3 games. I mean,
we are
newly promoted sides.
West Ham are playing well this season, but there's a good chance Man City at home should beat them. So you could be going into the Brentford game 1 point behind 4th, and that's a massive opportunity with the fixtures coming up in.
Right, I've got 5 final questions. 4 of them are just a yes or no, and the last one is a score prediction for the Burnley game. First question, let's go with you, Melvin. I just want a yes or a no. That's as simple as that. Will we progress to the next stage of the Europa Conference League? I'm going to go for a yes. Melvin?
Yes, I'll say yes.
Gareth?
Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant. Will we beat West Ham United in the League Cup quarter-final, and will we progress to the semi-final? I'm going to go yes. Melvin?
I'm going to say no.
Oh, wow. Gareth?
Yes, I think we will, actually.
Yes, their name's on it.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's the next one, Adrian. Will we win a trophy this season?
What, you asking me first?
Yeah, go on. You go first.
We'll win 2.
We'll win 2.
The FA Cup as well.
Gareth?
No, we'll not win anything, I don't think.
Melvin?
Depends what happens in January.
Oh, okay. Well, I certainly hope we win a trophy. And Adrian, let's start with you on this one. Will Tottenham finish in a Champions League place at the end of the season?
Yes.
Gareth?
No, I think top 6. I think we'll maybe top 6, but not top 4.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go for a no as well. Melvin?
Depends what happens in January.
Do you know what, though? See, finishing in the top 6, it wouldn't be... I don't think we'll be underachieving. Yeah, the only reason we're sort of in the top 4 fight is because Man United have struggled. They are top 3 or miles ahead. So if United were to get their act together, there's a good chance that top 4 is not on. But if we get top 6 Europa League football will be much better than what we're watching at the moment. The Europa League almost seems the Europa League almost seems like it's glamorous now compared to this Conference League. So
it'd be progress, Gareth. It'd be progress.
It would be.
Yeah. Let's go with score predictions. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win at Turf Moor on Sunday. Harry Kane and Kane Son to get our goals. Adrian, what do you think?
2-0 Spurs. Kane both.
Gareth?
I agree with you, Chris. I think it'll be tight, I think, but we'll just edge it 2-1.
And Melvin?
1-0 Spurs. Lucas will score.
Brilliant. Well, I certainly hope we get the 3 points.
Harry Winks magic. I'm telling you, how the better. Harry Winks magic.
Lucas scores. Lucas scores more goals away from home than he does at home, I think. Yeah.
Well, Melvin, Adrian, Gareth, thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been a good show, even though we lost tonight. It's been nice talking to the 3 of you. Adrian, before we go, tell everyone where they can find your Facebook page.
Right, Spurs Diehards are fine. It's actually quite long the title of the group I run. We've got 7,000 members at the moment. We've only been going 2 years, but we're going strong. It's Spurs Diehards TTID. You'll find it if you just type Spurs Diehards. And if you're interested and you're on Facebook, come join us.
Melvin, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Probably the last time as well.
What we're doing is we're waiting until we've won, and then I'll contact you about coming on.
Yeah, probably the Harry Winks of this channel.
Remember Harry Edna he picked Gareth Bale on a 4-0 up one time to make sure he got that one. It was 24 games we would have won. So we'll have to, if we're beating that team by 3 or 4 goals, we'll have to text them.
Yeah. Make sure we have a 3-0 lead before you message me to come on the video.
We've been there before. 3-0 up against Man United, lose 5-3. Yeah. Adrian, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Great. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
And Gareth, thanks very much indeed. Are you still running your podcast, or have you given that up now?
I haven't got started. We just so busy. We coming out of lockdown, and get my own football. So I really haven't got. I don't want to start because I couldn't come up yet. So maybe next season I'll look at doing something when I can plan a bit better. It's still hectic coming out of lockdown and all this talk now about COVID again. It's not looking good. So, but no, I'll probably get the goal next year. But enjoy coming on again, Chris. Great show. Lads were brilliant as well. And nice to see you again, Adrian. I met you a few weeks ago. So
yeah, we met in the pub,
again.
didn't we? Melvin, we've met as well once, but that was in level 1 after the game once when you came over for a game. You probably don't remember.
Which match was it? The Chelsea one?
I think you had a few drinks.
Oh, did we lose that one too?
Yeah. We actually did.
Well,
you're not going to Brentford game next week, Melvin. No,
Melvin, you probably turned back.
Which match was it, Adrian?
I can't remember. It's when we all used to meet on level 1, but it's
was it the opening game of the season?
Yeah, and I said to I admire you for coming all that way to watch a game.
You're not going to the Brentford game next week, Melvin. No,
not this year. I'm afraid.
Oh, that's good.
Well, Gareth, I look forward to seeing you at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the Brentford game. Let's hope that we get another 3 points there. We could certainly do with them right now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate all of your support. Let's hope that Tottenham get the 3 points at Turf Moor on Sunday. Thanks for watching, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.